And then I say, greetings, 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 and good afternoon to everyone and everyone, right? I want to hold all the calls for now. Hold all the calls for about another 15, 20 minutes. And then we can interact as we do. Okay? And yeah. All right. Let me tell you how this got now. Over I've just started a new course. A new course of empowering and enlightening us as black people, and how I can progress myself as well. Right? So I'm attending this course in Birkbeck University. Birkbeck University. Day one, I've gone inside there. Came about 15 minutes before the time, right? So my intentions were to actually have a seat right at the front of the auditorium, the class, the class area, so that I can't be distracted by movements and everything else. The only hindrance is that I was suffering from or I was recovering from flu, right? So I have to be near an exit or something, so that I could come out if I needed to, right? To my surprise, I now remember I come 15 minutes early, To my surprise, I walked into this room and I'm expecting, say, 25, 30 people maximum. There must have been at least 120 to 30 people inside of this place, right? All paid up to learn and to utilize the information that it was going to be given to us, right? And when I say it's not the run of the mill type of course, yeah, we're talking a good like 3 or 4 vacations type monies we're talking for this course, yeah. Okay, so that's the investment that I'm putting into this. Anyway, so I go in there. The only seats that's available is at the back of the auditorium. The only seats that were available was at the back of the auditorium. The other thing was that the, the audio system was in non-existent, so they were just talking from the front to project their voice to the back. And that was the challenge. That was challenge number one. That was challenge number one. So we're listening, and I'm listening to the course as it's unveiling. Right. I won't tell you the nature of the course, right? Because I would like to share that with you later on and at another time. And yeah, so I'm listening to the nature of the course, and the person who's facilitating the course is talking, and at the front row, of course, there are those who are there to be healed. They've come there to take it as a personal journey for themselves to be healed. So every other question and every other interjection, they are there to put their points of view forward straight away. Straight away. And it's not too long before the questions what was coming up in my mind, right? Because I'm listening to how how they are interacting and who is interacting. And the majority of the attendees of this course obviously of European extraction. But not only are they of European extraction, right? But they are women as well, right? So a good 70% of the calls in the attendees are women, or participants are women, right? And a good heavy 95% of them are European extraction and others. Okay, and from listening to those who are interacting, they came from everywhere, from Italy to Russia to Ukraine to obviously UK, right, to the Americas, and everybody, every other swing and ding was there. Every swing and ding was there. Yeah, and of course they're talking from their personal perspective of how they feel that things should go and how it should be there, not allowing the facilitator to teach because they know everything already. They know everything already, right? So, me being me, I'm in the listening and I'm hearing what is being said. And then it came to the point of where I had to, and they were questioning who would be a target client, right? To offer the services we're learning. Now I pointed out, I put my hand up and I pointed out that Black African descendant people do not use these facilities. They don't use their services, right? And I'm very fortunately, one of them asked, why? Why? And of course, the other Africans that were in attendance, some of them held their head down in shame. Some of them turned around to look at me. And then there was the majority of them that did turn around to look to hear what I was going to say. And I said to them straight, Black people don't trust you as white people. People, Black people have been systematically used as experimentations on many occasions by you white people. When you are giving out any services, they are coming back or handed back to their families like zombies. In other words, all you're doing is just drugging them up. You're not even repairing what needs to be repaired. This is why Black people are not interested in being anything with you as white people. Obviously, it was silence, no rhetorical, and it was so said, so done. After I mentioned that, and in the break afterwards, then I was approached, and they said, "You are so brave to say that." Me, brave to say that, to say the truth, to say the truth that we hide in our our faults. We hide the fact that we are struggling through life. The fact that we need help and assistance to get through the day. And I felt so low for the fact that somebody would say that. And it came from a sister of Africa who was of African heritage, that I was brave to say that. And then the thought came to my mind, what are you doing here if you do not intend to change that narrative? But I had to rally back. I had to hold back, because obviously maybe that person has never um, looked at themselves as a person who could change the narrative. This is the beauty of what Galaxy is doing. It is thrusting us to the front line of representation. It is thrusting us to the front line of representation of our people, our communities, our self-standing, our self-esteem. That's what it's doing. Day two. Day two. Now, what they've done now, they split the classes. They split the classes. So we've got half the amount in each of the classes. And they've paired us up with a person that we shall be studying and shadowing as we go through, and supporting each other as we go through the course, right? Whether that person is there at the end of the course, me not know. But anyhow, I shall be there, and I shall be totally qualified and ready for honor. Anyhow, day two. And again, the cultural element raised his head in my mind and in my hearing, in my listening. So I introduced it again into the conversation as we were conversing. And mainly because when I was listening to the other commentaries, they were totally non-contextual, that I was getting very disparate. And I'm thinking, is this facilitator going to allow them to just blurt out what they want? And, oh, I do this, I do that, right? Because what you're being shown is certain techniques, right, of how to negotiate a powerful conversation. And then you're going to turn around and say, well, this is what I do, which is totally contrary to what is being shown and what is being taught, right? And I think to myself, you know what? These people do not have any respect for how things are being taught, how they actually are supposed to be implemented. They have no structure of engagement. They're just interested in hearing their own voice. How how is anybody supposed to learn? Right? And then I pointed it out. I pointed it out using the context of what was being asked of us. Right? And I had to highlight as well. And as I made the commentary, I stated I would like to bring it back to the original concept of what you're asking us to do, just to break that down so that I understand. Yeah. And again, in the break, I was approached by three people there. He said that at least you are exhibiting what is necessary to stop all this rambling, to stop all the rambling. Again, I have to thank Galaxy. I have to thank Galaxy for allowing us to be pure and succinct in our conversation, in our listening. Huh? In the same break, this is on day two. This is on day two. This person came and put into my hand a documentation of symbolisms, and the symbols that was written on the front of this page of this documentation, right? It was pertaining to esoterical uh, beliefs, esoterical beliefs, right? No title on the front of it or anything. They said the person who put it into my hand was an Asian woman, right? So she come either from China or one of those places. China, I think. I would assume it's China or somewhere. And she said, I think this is what you need. I think this is what you need. And I looked at her and I immediately had a defensive view. Immediately had a defensive view of this person. Mainly because of the way how she just came, pushed it into my hand, and stated, this is what you need. Right? And then obviously I'm looking to see if she's actually offering this to other people. But oh no. And then she came with this talk about a totalitarian society and life, and how life would be so nice and if we was all, living in harmony and everything. And I just stood there, thumbed through the material. At the same time, I was taking note of what the material was said. Right? And then when she finished after about 10 minutes of chatting, I gave you my perspective of what the material and our point of view as diasporian Africans, right? And what the perspective of us allowing the European concepts of thinking and various religious influences has dissuaded us from being our true self. Hmm? If you have those things there, and they are dissuading us from our true self, what can we say? Hold on, just a moment. I'll come back in a moment, yeah? Let me put this on. Soon come back for you. I like it. Nana, baby, I'm so in love with you because of everything that you do. There's not another woman in the world like you. Oh, you're one of a kind. I'm so glad you make your mind know every day that I with you. It be like the blessings of heaven depend with, so I just stay with you. No matter the time they about me. From you and I together, baby. Yeah. Nothing in the world pays me. No, they can give me the world, the diamonds and pearls, they could never replace you. Heaven only knows, only heaven knows. Heaven only knows, only heaven knows. Heaven only knows, only heaven knows. Heaven
only knows, only heaven knows. No, baby, I'll give you all of me. You alone get all of me. All I get all of me, baby, I'll give you all of me. You alone get all of me. Get all of me. I'll give you all of me. You alone get all of me. All I get all of me, baby, I'll give you all of me. You alone get all of me. Yeah.
How I put it on them, they saying it's impressive. Everything godly on me, I'm his blessing. Have them praising the Lord. The cat is heaven, yet it's still explosive. Armageddon, you can never regret it, so you gotta respect it. No one understands you like I do.
All right, I'm back now. All right, let me just cool these things off here. Yeah, so I gave her my perspective of what I told her of the influence of religions, and also not only the religious aspect but the political disparity which we are facing right now. And of course, then I gave her the perspective of why I'm doing this course, right? And while I was standing there talking to her, over listening was the whole of the attendees that were there in the room. Then they turned around and started asking me questions of how do they see and how effective they could actually be with how they should approach us as Black Africans, as diasporians. What I discovered that they all, or the majority of them, had an inert distrust of Africans, or fear, literally fear of engaging with Africans or Black people, to the extent of that they wouldn't even look at them. So for 5 minutes I gave them the thought of, if you don't come with your mind in a pure way, if your thoughts are still thinking that Black people are less than, do not bother. Don't bother, because your lie of who you are will actually come through. The truth really does hurt. The truth really does hurt. You cannot hide. You cannot hide if you are not fully engaged and fully living with integrity in any way whatsoever. A lot of them were not in the realization of that. So let's see what happens when I return to the next lesson with them. Let's see what's going to happen when I return with the next lesson with them, because that is what I would love to see. I want to hear, right, how you would handle a situation like that right now, right? As we are waiting our sister Sandra to come and join us on the program this afternoon, right? And I know that she's busy, you know. I know said that she's busy, but I'm awaiting her arrival, right? Actually, let me give her a little ding. She might actually be still in bed at this time. At this time of morning. At this time of morning. Yeah. Hold on. Let me see now. Come. Play properly now. Play with me properly. Are you there? Up. Mm-mm-mm. See me there. See me there. All right, then let me just send a little message, sir. Are you ready? All right. Okay. Right then. So yeah, so I would like to hear something from you, because the way how we present ourselves and how we have prepared to represent ourselves is very, very, very important. We could be called upon at any time to be to be a representation of us as people. As I said, they listen, there's many of them who live in ignorance. A lot of them live in ignorance as to who we are as black people. Yeah. And this is the thing that I saw and I experienced on this course here. And because it's the nature of that course that I'm attending right now, because of the nature of that course, we cannot allow anyone to walk away thinking that we are less than. There's a few of us brothers who are there, and I'm sure that he doesn't mind me mentioning it. Rashid Nick, right? He was a representative in the Green Party, right, for our community, an activist, a radio presenter back in the day on Genesis Radio, right? You understand? Right? Full on activists in them way there. And he still is, even up until now, right up until now, still absolute 100% activist for our community. Yeah. So we was able to have some conversations there, catching up, see what the project is, and probably we set the fruit. Well, I know that we have set the fruit for a future project, and like if we are able to combine on that, that would be such a fantastic thing. Too many of us are just letting life just roll us over. And we have to prepare ourselves for the battle, because the battle is constantly out there for us. Let the strength of your word be the strength of your character that you carry through. And when I say carry through, I mean represent in the highest level. There's many of us who have been here for many a year, who have done some great things in our past. We have been influential, although albeit for a short while, albeit for the hours that we have put in, albeit for just to initiate many a program, many a thought, many a change. But we have been influential in that, in the defense of our community. Does it stop? No. Does our roles change? Yes, definitely. When I say does our roles change, I mean, does it change in the positive, or is it that we're sitting back and just letting things go? Because I know say that many an activist has not been able to put down their microphone or even take off them shoes, right? Because we are called upon at all stages, all life, all changes, right? To represent the people, but not only to represent them, but we are the ones as well who are the at the forefront, at the spearhead, right? The point that is piercing the armor of the enemies, the deceivers. We're the ones there now, and it will cascade onto others who follow. Trust me, we might not be as sharp as what we was before, but we still have the ability to penetrate those armors of deception and degradation and mindset. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? They're talking and saying that, oh, I've never really spoken to a black person like this before. Can you imagine? Imagine that 2023, you know.
So the
Yeah.
thing that comes to my mind is greetings, family.
Greetings, Sister Sandra. Sorry. Greetings, Sister Sandra.
I had to interrupt and just
You're
that thought processing as they've never spoken to someone of color, a black person like that before. Like you say, 2023, living in London. If they were living up north, you think maybe not. If they're living further down south, maybe not. But in London, and they say that there are individuals turn around and say, "Oh, there's no such thing as racism." Ooh.
You know the funny thing, Sister Sandra, right, is that when I was in the course there, you know, many of them wouldn't even make eye contact. They just would not even make eye contact, you know. And I just look on them so straight in on them face. Straight in on them face. And the thing is, the only thing saving grace is that because I was recovering from the flu, that I never spoke up even more. Yeah.
It's they had an excuse when they had the mask on because it covered all but your eyes, and they could avert their eyes because of this enforced stay-at-home message. But in this day and age, 2023, and that tells you how uncomfortable they are, which then also tells you is that what are they going to do with the information? Because it sure as hell ain't going to help anyone that looks like you and I.
You know, I know. I listen, this is what I highlighted to them. Right? Even though I'm doing this course, I'm very aware how many of us view the information that I'm actually and the techniques, the teaching techniques that I'm learning, that many of us as Black diasporian African descendants, that we don't really like to expose ourselves in that way. But the fact is that if I'm prepared to give that service, there are those who are willing and will be able to put aside their restricted views on this, and then when they have the results, when they gain the results from this, then they will find out that maybe we should be more open in that way. But those are the only ones who will step forward and participate. And I'm very aware, a high percentage will just be there as a critical view, right? Or cheapen the process. Yeah. But then again, you know what? Quality, what you pay for is what you get. If you don't want to pay for it, you now go get it. Simple as that. Simple as that. Yeah.
Yeah. I hear you on that
Simple
one.
as that. Yeah.
I hear you on that one.
Mm, mm,
It's just like you say, we need to, as a community, and that's one of the reasons why I love the station, as in Galaxy and Blacknificent, in terms of what the conversations that we're having and we're prepared to have, and the support then that we're able to give and are prepared to give to each other. So if I'm thinking to myself, they're not prepared to make eye contact, and they're not
And
in this
that's a regular thing.
yeah. But part of them not making eye contact, and I'm speaking on their behalf, and quite frankly, I haven't got a clue. But I'm going to make some generalizations. The image that they get of us in the media, of angry black men and black women, of negative images, all that they've just done is added to what the misconception that they have after the age of 7. So up until the age of 7, they've got no choice. Up until the age of 7, any one of us, all of us, we have no choice. We're indefensible. We're beautiful souls, but because we're beautiful souls, we're blank canvas. And whatever whatever paint someone adds to that canvas, so it hangs. Unless you are prepared to look at it critically, and you are prepared to do something about it. And there are too many, regardless of the community, are not prepared to look at their own canvas. And what you're doing there, Brother Aston, is, and Brother Rashid,
Rashid Nick,
are prepared to support the community with somebody who looks like them, so they, when they are ready, they can look at their canvas. I'm also out there that's able and willing to support people that look like us. Look at your canvas, and as long as you're prepared to look at your canvas and think to yourself, you know what, I want to be bigger, better, bolder, brighter, we're here for you. I want to do that naval inspection. I want to do that. I want to make a change. I want to live my purpose. I want to connect to my divine. And you spoke about the breath and the meditation, as you was leading up to the midday meditation, of the benefits of such activity, that some of us are doing it daily, some of us doing it regular throughout the day, and some of us not even touching that space.
Exactly.
And we need to be touching that space.
And that's why I repeat it. That's why I repeat it and highlight it, because don't take for granted that everybody knows. Don't take for granted that everybody is practicing. Don't take for granted that those who are practicing are doing it in the right way for themselves. Because you know, one of the things that I learned is that, you know, when I've done training, like when I'm doing like physical weight training, or I'm participating in any form of yoga or anything like that, the fundamentals always have to be instilled in you. Right? Your stance, your balance, right? Your pace, right? Your breathing to coincide with your movement. All these things are just fundamentals. But if you don't work on your fundamentals, right, or you let it slip, you let those things slip, that's when you start getting injuries. You don't do no cool down, right? In other words, you don't do no stretching. You don't allow the blood to flow and cool down while you're still in motion. You just stop. You just stop. You know what I mean? And of course, that is no good for anybody who does any form of activity. And it's the same with all aspects of our lives as well. Right? You can't just go boom straight in it, because you'll break yourself. Yeah, you have to do the warm up. You have to do the foundation work.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Most definitely. Most definitely.
right.
But
So when we do things like this, and what like I hadn't been in an active teaching environment like that for a few years now,
mm,
right? But
mm,
still, the naivety
mm,
of a lot of people still fathoms me.
mm,
Still fathoms me.
mm,
Like like how what we do as well.
mm,
The identification.
mm-hmm.
They're all quick to up to state their identification,
Yes, yes.
right?
So let's because I'm laughing and I'm laughing with you. So let's do the how were they identifying themselves? And let me just let me give you a guess and let's see the listeners.
Good.
So our brothers and sisters, that means were they reeling off their credentials?
Yes.
So that means they were either doctor, dentist, lawyer, teacher. They had their masters, they had their dissertation, they had
Yes.
their
Yes.
degrees. It wasn't just any degree,
Mm,
and it
mm.
wasn't just any university.
That.
Some of them would have thrown in the university and they'd have thrown in the class
Yes.
just to allow the rest of the world to see, yes, I can levitate. I
Yeah.
am an important person.
Mm,
And then some of them is going to be giving their experience of
mhm,
speaking to people and how that makes them a qualified person. So they are all effectively standing at the front, beating their chest.
mhm, mhm,
How great I am! Look at me! How important I am!
mhm.
How brilliant I am! How
Mm.
clever I am!
Yeah. 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 Listen, they were all there on show that day.
Mm,
But the thing is that obviously when I was as I was relaying that when I was talking with that Asian woman,
mm,
right, they were overhearing, and I was aware of that they were actually listening. There's someone who
mm,
was listening,
mm,
so I raised my voice a bit so that they could
mm,
hear clearly what I was
mm,
saying.
mm,
Right,
mm,
and I
mm,
changed my diction as well so that
mm,
they were of no doubt of understanding what I
mm,
was saying as well.
mm, mm, mm,
Right. And as I say, that some of them, they just, okay, okay,
mm,
yeah, right.
mm,
And for those who were in those professions as well,
mm,
um, I'm not surprised to hear of their actual non-engagement with black people, African
mm,
descendant people,
mm,
mainly because of the nature of their work
mm,
and obviously the areas that they live and work in,
mm,
right?
mm,
I'm not surprised.
mm,
But what did surprise me, right, is the fact that they thought it would be okay to still represent themselves as being all inclusive.
mm, mm, mm,
Meanwhile, as I said, a few of them stated that they've
mm,
never actually spoken to a black person on
mm,
these levels,
mm,
yeah,
mm,
or even covering those types of subjects.
mm,
And I said,
mm,
okay, all right, let's see how things go,
mm,
see how
mm,
things progress. But
mm,
I'm making note of those
mm,
the lookers,
mhm,
and the ones who want to verbalize me. I'm
mhm,
taking note.
mhm.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So, in that instance, for me, I'm thinking to myself, the ego is such a beast
Mm,
that they don't
mm,
even recognize that they're talking from an ego state
mm, mm,
rather than from a heart state
mm. I wait. I
and
wait.
are open.
I waited to see if any of them find me challenging. Right. I'm
Yeah.
waiting to
Yeah.
see. It's like the
Yeah.
thing is that I don't know how it happened or whatever, right? But the person who partners up with me, the person who partnered up with me, how can I describe it? He's from the Philippines.
Mm,
Yeah,
mm,
he's off one of the islands of the Philippines. No, Thai. That's right. He's Thailand, from Thailand,
mm-hmm,
and you know that they're small in stature, right?
mm-hmm,
I don't mean to make this be a derogatory way as well. It's just how I know it.
mm,
Well, imagine those small in stature, and then there's a midget.
mm.
Well, he's a midget,
Okay. Okay. So he's okay. Okay.
right? So you have me and my little friend Yesa,
Mm,
right?
mm,
And then we're there, we're going through the works and everything like this. And I haven't even mentioned his challenges in that way there.
mm, mm,
And then like he was telling me, oh, he's doing some acting and things like this and all that. I goes, oh, that's cool, right?
mm, mm,
Right? And then I was telling him like what my position is, because it's part of the course in
yeah.
that as well, right?
Introductions. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, building rapport and things
Mm,
like this.
mm,
Yes.
mm,
So anyhow. So when it came to the like sharing now, right?
mm,
He said to me, he goes, I was kind of afraid of you, you know. And I looked at him and I laughed and I said, why would you be afraid of someone like me?
mm,
But obviously I'm going there with that and then I thought to myself, wait a minute, you got this 6'2" man who's like almost three
mm,
times the size of you,
mm,
and then you're gonna be engaging with me, right?
mm,
So
mm,
therefore, yeah, I guess I would be frightened, wouldn't
mm,
I? But it never clicked on initially for me,
mm,
right? And then obviously then I had to say, okay, then all right, then I don't want us to be awkward, but I just want us to just be as normal as ever. And I was, if you wanted to say anything or whatever, or ask any questions, I was,
mm,
don't be afraid. Don't be afraid
mm,
to ask me any questions. And he goes, okay. And then you could see that he just all of a sudden relaxed in himself, you know?
mm, mm,
Yeah,
mm,
the breath,
mm,
you know.
mm, mm,
And
mm,
like we was talking about the differences between like him being accepted for who he is,
mm,
right? And then maintaining a family, trying to maintain a family, and what his aspirations are for his own life,
mm,
you know. And
mm,
in that way there, he was able to express himself.
mm,
But
mm.
I found out he's very, very experienced and very, very intelligent academically,
So
you know.
my
Mm?
question to you then, how did he introduce himself? Did he introduce himself?
No, he was very cagey, very cagey. He didn't want to
Okay.
share it. He didn't want to share anything
Okay.
initially,
Okay.
right? And then when he realized that I wouldn't be taking advantage of him
Mm,
in that way, you know,
mm, mm,
that he saw that, oh, he could actually be safe around me.
mm,
Then he opened up about
mm,
it, you know. And I,
mm,
I think out in within the room, if there was an academic scale,
mm.
he would definitely be in the top 5%.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely
Okay.
the top 5%.
Mm, mm,
So, and I thought, well, that's I can use that to my advantage still.
mm, mm. You can tap into his knowledge.
Yeah, definitely.
But again, it's interesting in terms of from an ego point of view.
Mm,
You've got,
I just missed the
if you
call.
think, okay, no, it'd be beautiful just to have any. Are you
Internet.
going to give out the numbers again?
Yeah. I'm going to give out the numbers. Let me see. Here we go. 0203-289-6504. Sorry, I said it very quickly there. 0203-289-6504. If you wish to interact with us here on the galaxyofwe.net, on the Blacknificent show. Yes, and also if you want to text, right? So a few texts came through earlier on 079-474-79219 as well here on the Galaxy. Also, if you wish to view us, right? We are here on the Blacknificent radio show on the YouTube and also on the Facebook as well. So you can view us on that and you can interact with us through that medium as well. Okay. So there's two mediums that you can outside of the radio, you can actually interact with us as well. So yes, back to you, Sister Sandra.
So in terms of, so that means if I'm thinking ego, I'm recognizing then that some of them would have literally been doing the old beating on their chest from an ego point of view. You then had the person you were speaking to who was on the other end of the spectrum. And many a times individuals click, whether you do it consciously or unconsciously, we live small. So we do have knowledge, we do have the ability, we do have the strength in purpose, but we don't let anybody know. And both of those extremes are not the space of where we want to be. Both of those extremes, we actually need to find that middle ground. And one of the things that I'll be talking about later on top of the hour would be in terms of finding just some of the thoughts in terms of finding that middle ground. How can we do that? What can we do? Because how we introduce ourselves is a reflection to some degree of how we show up. And as the listeners know that I'm sitting here in Jamaica and I'm on the veranda and I'm just literally looking at the palm trees now and they're just flowing in the breeze. And some trees, they're waving at me.
They're waving at you.
The sun's coming up and it's a hot day. It's going to be another scorcher. But some of the trees are tall and some of the trees are short. But they're striving with what nature has provided them with and the soil that they're in. But we do not always do that as human beings in an existence that we live in. And then within that, we then conform or aim to make ourselves into something that doesn't necessarily feel comfortable, but we settle for less.
Every time. This is why we are underselling ourselves. There are some sisters who are in attendance in the program there, right? I'm very aware of my presence around a lot of people, right? And how I approach people. I like to get to know them or know something about them before I actually approach them. If it's necessary. And I presume that they are apprehensive about us as well, in our way of how they would engage with myself. Because like I've noticed that I noticed immediately, right, that they gravitated like as a class unit, they gravitated towards Europeans to engage in preference to sort of like seeking out, like there's another sister there, let me talk with her. Or there's a brother over there, let me introduce myself. So in that way, there it was difficult because I do make it a point, like if I'm doing a class or anything like that, at least I've introduced myself by name, right, to all of those who are present to know who I am. Yeah. So that if they want to engage with me, that they can come and talk to me or whatever, or talk to me. Yeah. One of the things that I notice as well, that we have to stand strong no matter what forum that we are in. No? So even if that person doesn't want to directly engage with you, you make it sure and understandable that you are approachable, right? And even if you have to publicly announce it, take the advantage to say that my name is, and then like even like how they ask for engagement, like oh what do you think of this and that, even if you ain't got nothing to say, right? There's no right or wrong answer or statement. As long as they hear your name, then they know, say, okay, that person there is named Aston or whatever, yeah, right? Or that person over there, oh, that's Sandra. Okay, so it had to be a big announcement of your academia, your life and story or anything like this at all, right? It's just to even say we need to move together, we need to communicate together, even in this forum, even if we walk out of here and never see each other again, right? At least we can say, you know something, I know that man, right?
It's a little nod to
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because like the way how some of them are going, and I know that there's going to be some of them who are going to be resistant to that, right? But at least I shall make myself available to all who needs it necessary. Yeah. And I think that's one of the things that we have to work on as as uh um uh us as representing ourselves, that we make ourselves known, make our presence felt. So even to say, as you say, to even say acknowledgement of like eye contact, saying hello or greetings or whatever, you know, let that be the case too.
yeah, very, very much so. It needs to be the case, because if you're moving into a new profession, let's use the word profession, or you're moving into so some of those individuals are going to be using it because they want to go out there, help and support their community. Some people are using it because it adds another chink to their armor of how great I appear to be, or I think I am.
Letters after their name.
Yeah, they've got an extra couple of, and you think to yourself, actually, the person who's sitting down and speaking to you, all they want to know what's in your heart rather than all the letters after the name. But it's a shame that we buy into the image that society has painted of us. So even us, we will look cross-eyed at another person of color and gravitate somewhere else, because what does comfortable feel like is the question I'd ask. And why are we uncomfortable with the other person? So for me, that's more of a challenge. So then it means for me, then I then have to ask, how are you going to approach, if you do go into this as a profession or as an extra stream of income, how are you going to approach the person who walks through the door that all you've seen is their name on a piece of paper? So for you, it may be more of a challenge in terms of, as you say, building a rapport, because you're starting on the back foot rather than standing straight, thinking about who you are and thinking about the fact that I'm here to serve. You're not thinking that. You're thinking about, you're using the image in order to potentially influence how you respond. So it's interesting, and it's, as you say, from a dynamics point of view, seeing it on day 1 and then seeing it on day
2
and day 3, and seeing it as the course goes on. There are individuals are going to drop out, because that's the nature of any course.
Yeah.
You're going to get to a stage where there's going to be the
I
core.
can see that already.
There's going to be a core 20% out of, and when we think about the numbers and Pareto principle, and I'm intrigued with the maths, but the maths, numbers don't lie. They say men lie, women lie, but numbers don't lie. The Pareto principle, from a numbers point of view, of the 100 that are there on day 1, 20% will finish, and of that 20%, there's going to be a 4% who will actually do something with that information. So it's just intriguing. And like I said, and you've already started to look at and thinking, okay, will they last the course? Will they last the course? That course it's not meant for everybody.
No.
That's the way of looking at it.
The thing, look, everybody comes there with their own agenda, right? What they want to get from the teachings. Each one come with their own outlook of how they feel that everything's going to be. But there are those. I just say, wow, here we go. It's the old roller coaster again. The thing is that I'm just saying that we have to, if you're doing that type of thing there, you have to remain focused and achieve what you need to achieve for yourself. Because where some of them are going, me just say, why? Why you come and attend this one for? You need some serious help before you even come into this level of program. It's crazy. It's crazy.
But some of them may be using that program as a way of their own therapy.
Yeah, definitely.
So they're using it as okay. So, and I know in the past when I was working, I was keen to, from an interview point of view, become the interviewer rather than the interviewee. So I could see what it felt like from the other side of the table, the questions that were asked, etc., in order to improve my abilities when I was going for promotion in a different position or a higher position. But the question I ask myself now on reflection is, what did I learn? Was it just a paper exercise? Yeah. And that's what it turned out to be, a paper exercise to say, yes, I've done this.
Tick box.
Yeah. So those that are doing it, are they just doing it as an exercise? So yeah, it's an interesting one, and just to see how it rolls out as the challenges. Because I'm looking at, I'm on a program myself, Think and Grow Rich. So a number of you will have read the book, potentially glanced at it recently, but within that, there is again the element of doing that reflection and recognizing, hang on a minute, when I read the book first time round, I did just literally read the book.
Go ahead.
But I didn't necessarily apply the lessons within the book, and I didn't approach it in the right headspace. And now I'm looking at it and I'm approaching it in a different headspace, the headspace that will allow me to make best use of and or get best use of the material. So when I'm looking around, because it's virtual, you don't know who's actually on. And because of the way that they've done their course and the device I'm on, I can't see any of the other participants. So all I'm just doing is going by a name. And in terms of the communication and the platform that we use to communicate, some people may have an image of themselves and or an emoji and or something, anything in between. So you don't actually know who's on the program or who's on the course. But the thing about the course and one of the elements of it I will be speaking about on top of the hour, it's just helped me to reanalyze and rethink about some of the concepts that I have heard in the past. It's helped me to question self. It's helped me to do some grounding in relation to my thoughts or my perceptions and my beliefs. And it helps me also to recognize that, hey, I'm actually on the right path. And that has made me smile. And one of the activities that we do and we're encouraged to do is on a morning, and I've heard it somewhere else, but I don't know which book I heard it from or which speaker I heard it from, but I know I've heard it somewhere else. When you wake up in the morning, you're brushing your teeth, or at some point in the morning, as part of a morning ritual or rising, you say to yourself, and you say it loud and you say it proud, do it now, do it now, do it now. You say it with emotion, and you say it up to 25 times. Because at the moment, your subconscious may be, and how you think and how you do your activities and your tasks and you go through your day, it may be very much of a, procrastination is one word. It may be a case of you sitting back and not actually doing what needs to be done and putting it off till tomorrow. Tomorrow's a good day, or I'll do it later, or I'll do it. There's a reason as to why you choose not to. But when you can think about, and when you say to yourself often enough with the emotion twice a day, you find yourself during the day having a thought, looking at your email and thinking, you know what, rather than just leave it unopened and not doing anything with it, let me actually do something with it. Let me respond. You go into your WhatsApp and you see a message from a friend, and rather than saying, oh, well, I'll come back to it later, you do the response. You need to take out the bins. You do that straight away. There are things that you've been putting off, or you think, oh, I'll do it later, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it. With that thought process of do it now, do it now, do it now, you start to recalibrate your thinking and your behavior. So there are a number of things, and I'm going to share something else, like I said, on top of the hour, that I've been looking at recently, that I hadn't explored it or considered it in that way before.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Could you give the listeners some details of your events that you're going to be live at as well in the near future?
So, there's actually one that's coming up really, but I'm not going to be in the UK. It's going to be in America. But in terms of the UK, I'll be at Auntie Jean's African Cultural Market, which is on the Sunday, I'm just checking the date. It is Sunday the 21st of May.
Mm-hmm.
And
what about this one in America? What is
so the one in America is a 3-day event in Scottsdale.
Mm-hmm.
So Les Brown will be there.
Would they be able to
So will they be able to
join in?
join in? No, but it's going to be recorded,
Mm-hmm.
and it will be uploaded, but it's getting those details. But there's going to be there's a number of speakers, but bearing in mind I part of the anthology with Les Brown. He's one of the speakers that's going to be there. James McNeil's another one of the speakers that will be there. Angela Lecter, who wrote or co-authored Rich Dad Poor Dad, and that that trilogy, because there was a lot of work that went into that and a lot of additional material that went into that. Forbes Riley. So it's going to be an event. It's going to be an event with, like I said, well in excess of probably up to about a dozen speakers. But I will be there as part of a co-author, as being an author within the Les Brown, James McNeil, My Time anthology. So yeah, I'm excited about that, and that's at the 10th, 11th, and 12th of June. So I'm excited about that, and that's just literally been shared and or released with us. So you're talking and I can't hear you, so it's obviously my end. So let me just do something my end.
Let me give you some volume. Sorry, I apologize. It's you see my eyesight never catch that one there. So right. Elia, what one of those things that I'm very glad is that we're able to expand upon not only this show, right, but it shows the other avenues of what we're involved in as well. Not only that they're involving, but it allows others to explore other teaching aids, some advice, you know, um, uh, development, same things, the same tools that we're sharing, right, are the same tools that we use as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
I understand. So it's not to say that I'm better than you or whatever. Nah, let me tell you something. Anything that I have, and with information, I think you are more than welcome to be part of it and share it as well, because John knows I don't want to be walking through those gates, proverbially, by myself.
But it's again, if I think about and the analogy that I use when I do my 30-day journey is, and I'm going to use names from here. So if we say Mary the mango tree and Paul the pear tree, both of them are going to grow in different ways with the elements that are available to them. They're not going to provide the same fruit. They're not going to provide the same fruit potentially at the same time of the year, but they're both going to provide fruit. So you're having information, me having information, us having information. The question I start to question and ask myself is, why do I want to keep it to myself? Just because I give it to you doesn't necessarily mean you're going to use it in the same way. It doesn't actually necessarily mean that you're going to pick it up, because you may choose not to. It may not be the right time for you. And what they often say, and I've heard that a few times recently, when the student is ready, the master appears. So rather than take away the word master, but the information appears, because then you're ready to use that information. And if I think about it in terms of a race and a 400-meter relay race, or a 100-meter relay race, the baton's being passed. Sometimes the baton falls when I pass it to you, Aston. But that's because I'm not ready. I wasn't prepped. I wasn't standing in the right place. I didn't start at the right place. I was going too fast and you were going, I ran out and you were just running in. Or I stood there and we collided.
Yeah, we have to have that synchronicity.
Yeah,
Go
yeah,
on, go on. Momentum, momentum, and synchronicity of
hmm,
exchange. Yes,
yeah,
that's what you need. That's what
definitely,
you need. That's what you need. Very
definitely.
cool. Yeah, man. But as, and I'm very glad that you have taken up the mantle of joining me on the programs, so
Mm.
that you can get that one underneath your belt, and
Hmm.
then you can go and fly and go on about yourself. Make your own program too. Make your own program and go along out there, get your 10,000 views and everything like that, and leave me with me 3 and 4.
No, and that's the thing, as you said, in terms of Rashid, there is collaboration to be had,
Mm, mm,
because none
mm,
of us can do anything on our own. As
mm,
much as we may think that we're big and we're powerful and we've got this,
mm,
none of
mm,
us can do things on our own. We all need somebody,
mm, mm,
and we all need that connection. And we're spiritual beings.
mm,
We're
mm.
perfect spiritual beings. We've just got slightly derailed when we add the armor called ego,
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
and we start to do
One of the things
things.
that we was talking about in our break time when we was in on the weekend there on Saturday and Sunday. We was talking about, like, our past things that we done, and he mentioned about the documentary that he made. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but it was Why Don't We Vote, right? And I recall that they played it on uh, was it Black History Month, one of their night programs. Yeah. So he was I was saying, yeah, I remember that because they played it recently in the Black History Month in October. I think it was the BBC that played it. And he said, yeah. He goes, that is one of those things that, it was the frustration of how many of us actually turned out to vote. And and this was in the borough of Southwark, right? And it was notoriously known that the votings were were extremely
Mm,
low.
mm,
Apparently, it was probably one of the lowest turnouts in the UK
mm,
for those boroughs, like, for
mm,
voting. And the thing is that every one of us, the black people, and this is what's going through my mind, every one of us have had some form of oppression, right? Some
mm,
form of discriminatory behavior.
mm,
Every one of us, and if not every one of us, the majority of us,
mm,
right? So even if they turned out and they being a percentage of that area, I think it was like 36%
mm,
of the living area,
mm,
right? Even if a percentage of them turned out,
mm,
they could make major influences in the local authorities and the national uh,
mm,
program as well,
mm,
right? But
mm,
the thing is, what was also on my mind is that we should be covering all the bases as a vacancy turns up in any form of authority program. We're supposed to be covering the bases with applications,
mm,
right? Like
mm,
like it's the last job on earth.
mm,
You understand? We're
mm,
supposed to be covering that, but who are we preparing to cover it?
mm,
That's the base of the question. Who are we
mm,
preparing to
mm,
actually cover those bases,
mm,
right? I know that. Yeah, I know. Say, like, when I was growing up, I was dissuaded from being part of any form of political parties or interest
mm,
whatsoever, right? And
mm,
even now, the same religious organization that I was with, right? They don't play no part with any politics,
mm,
right?
mm,
And there's black and white in that organization.
mm,
Everybody,
mm,
and so they, as a rule, they don't play nothing. They don't have nothing to do.
mm,
Uh,
mm,
yeah, you know. So where is our preparation? Who are we preparing? That is the basis of what I would like to come up with this. Yeah.
Mm. So that's an interesting, because my thought and question is,
Mm,
I was listening to something, and they were playing an excerpt, and this is from the BBC,
mm,
and this was around how many years ago, and it was an Indian reporter talking about you've got an Indian Prime Minister in the UK, you've got an Indian Prime Minister
in Scotland.
or in Scotland,
Mm,
and you've got an Indian. So effectively, they were saying that at one point the British were dead against
yeah.
India exactly the same way as they were making the claims that they made. We know the claims that they made, and now they find themselves X number of years on. And the other person I mentioned was a person in power, seat of power in London, Asian, Indian.
Mm,
But as a community, we don't, in terms of Black people. But that conversation, that thought process, I thought to myself, okay,
mm,
I don't know well, I can speak for myself. Would I go into politics?
mhm,
No, because I don't see that that's my purpose. I don't see that I would, I don't see that's my purpose.
mhm,
Do I vote? Yes, begrudgingly, but I don't agree with the system. So I'm less inclined to do it. So in the past, yes, I would always go out there and say, yep, I'll go and vote and put my X on the spot because many people fought for this opportunity to vote, yada, yada, yada. But I don't agree
mm,
with the system. So would I vote in the future? I will be on the ballot box to say I can vote because we need to be. Sad thing is that there's certain things you can do in society, and if you're not on the ballot box, it becomes harder to jump through the hoops. So that'd probably be the reason why I'll be on the ballot box. But would I go out there and vote and feel comfortable with any party? Any of
mm.
the current parties? No. I was reading in the paper, they were talking, because obviously Jamaica's looking at going through,
Yes, the independence.
yeah,
Mm, mm.
and they were speaking about Marcus Garvey and what he believed in,
Yeah.
and the way that it was framed. You're thinking to yourself, okay,
Mm.
I understand what he was saying, and there's a lot about what he was saying, but we're still arguing the toss. We're still not getting it.
Mhm.
And that's in a country that looks like you and I.
Right.
We ain't got a prayer in the UK.
I'm going to say, I'm going to make a statement right now.
Go for
And
it.
this is only my line of thinking.
Go for it.
Right.
You've put the
My line.
caveat and you've given
Right.
me the, yeah.
Right. Let me tell you something. Marcus Garvey was of his time.
Mm,
He did, and he set a foundation and blueprint for his time.
mm,
Right.
mm,
We are years away from that time of existence
mm,
right now.
mm,
Right. The fact is that we are supposed to be more advanced in
mm,
our strategic moves and positioning
mm,
to be effective now.
mm,
Right.
mm,
Look at what he had to work with and look what
mm,
he achieved
mhm,
back then.
mhm.
Look what we have
And what we're not
and
doing.
what have we achieved.
Mm, mm, yeah, 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 yeah,
Let me just rest it there, so.
yeah, yeah. He had less and he achieved a lot more, and we have more and we've achieved a lot less.
Which we're supposed to, the world is supposed to quake
Mm,
when we
mm,
actually make a statement
mm, mm,
right now. The
mm,
world is supposed to quake.
mm,
Yeah.
mm, mm,
When we make a move, everybody move.
mm, mm, mm,
Yeah.
mm.
That
Yeah.
is how we're supposed to be moving. Because
Mm-hmm.
if you look at at those imageries of the Garvey movement,
Mm, movement being the word.
they all they did was just walk up and down street with their uniforms on when
Mm,
they were parading.
mm,
Yeah.
mm, mm,
And it stirred the whole country.
mm,
And
mm,
those were only a few thousand people,
mm,
let alone the millions who know of Marcus Garvey
mm, mm,
and who are intelligent enough to come with with a blueprint for the modern day and
mm,
age.
mm,
Hence, that's why I started the whole program this morning.
mm,
Right, I started it with
mm,
the imagery and the videos of those young people who are achievers.
mm,
Yeah,
mm,
we probably will call them super brain. But
mm,
in my opinion, that is just a standard of a gifted child.
mm,
Let alone every other child that is in their presence, because as you know, good always good always make you do better.
mm, mm,
Yeah.
mm,
So you can
mm,
imagine if you're in a class with a pitney like that who can
mm,
speak like 7 languages,
mm,
someone who's a mathematician and all that.
mm,
I'm
mm,
gonna tell you now, children will gravitate to them,
mm,
right? And they
mm,
will be the ones who'll be trying to emulate what that child is doing.
mm.
And in doing that, they might not hit the mark,
But
but
they'll.
in the right direction.
Mm, 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 mm,
Yeah,
mm,
in the right direction.
mm. So, if you think about it in terms of children, what about adults who are?
Mhm. Well, even with that, I feel that we are missing the mark 110 to 50%,
Mm,
right? Not that we turn back around to where we're supposed to be,
mm,
right? But we've turned right around and we turn it again
mm,
on ourselves because what? We're supposed to be so far in advance now.
mm,
Our communication is supposed to be so far effective
mm,
with each other.
mm,
Our abilities and development of intelligence and networking supposed to be far superior to what the broken system is actually building. Because remember,
mm,
we are innovators.
mm,
We're the
mm,
ones that build mass
mm,
societies.
mm, mm,
We're
mm,
supposed to be in the process now of leaving this system and generating and building a completely new global system.
mm,
That is the position that we're supposed to be in now.
mm,
Yeah,
mm,
you understand?
mm,
Let them dead upon their own mire.
mm,
Right? If they want to
mm,
all stand up on top, let them stand up on top.
mm,
But then again, that probably would start their own slavery system within themselves because the only slaves they're gonna get are their own Europeans.
mm, mm,
Yeah,
mm,
you understand?
mm,
So you know, we you know, sometimes when I'm hearing, I have full and let me state this again. I have full admiration for the achievements of Marcus Garvey,
mm,
right, and such like as well,
mm,
right?
mm,
Because remember, he was not the only person who was pushing the boundaries of development,
mm, mm,
right? I have full admiration for them. And
mm,
I do not take away anything from any of their works, what they have achieved.
mm,
The only thing that I hold in despair at this time is us, where
mm,
we are.
mm. What have we done with that?
What are we doing with it?
Mm, mm, mm,
You understand?
mm,
We get
mm,
called to action and we're just
mm,
apathetic.
mm, mm,
Meanwhile, those people of those days when they were called to action, they bought those bonds.
Mm.
Yeah,
Mm.
they put their percentage of their money into the
Mm.
projects of liberation, i.e., the Black Star Liner.
Mm.
Yeah,
Mm.
they put their
Mm.
money into that, right?
Mm. Mm.
Yes, he could have gone and run off with the money and be a multi-million and live on island and all
Mm.
them things
Mm.
there. He could
But
have
he
done
chose
that,
not to. Mm.
right?
Mm.
You understand? To the
Mm.
extent of that, he allowed his ego to implode on himself at times. Yeah. But
Yeah.
not only to let the ego implode, but to allow the whole of the organization,
Mm.
right, to come and literally run him over,
Mm. Mm.
right?
Mm. Mm.
By what? Those who were working in the back room.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah. And then very soon after the demise of that organization,
Mm.
right? Because they're not
Mm.
operating with integrity.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
See?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yeah. So in many ways, I still say, and I've said it about 2 or 3 times already today. We are the ones who are responsible for our future, and we're
Mm.
supposed to take that mantle to make it move things forward,
Mm.
right? For all of us.
Mm. Mm.
First
Mm.
of all, obviously, the communication, the power of our communication,
Mm.
right? Then our actions,
Mm.
right? And I don't mean no little. I don't mean no little. Oh, let's get a farm and let's feed some people or whatever. That
Mm.
is for you personally.
Mm.
I'm
Mm.
talking about put a good stance into the backside of all of these global
Mm.
entities, right?
Mm.
Right? We're supposed to shake them from the foundation. Anywhere that you see application, just fill that rock stone in.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
You
Mm.
understand?
Mm.
Even if 10 of you get through
Mm.
out of 100, there's the
Mm.
10. We have a
Mm.
wedge.
Mm.
We build from
Mm.
that
We've got
because
something to work
behind
with.
that 10 there will be 1,000.
Mm.
Yeah,
Mm.
because as soon as
Mm.
that 10 says something, the 1,000 people will stand up and say, "Yo,
Mm.
walk on,
Mm.
yes,
Mm. Mm.
yeah."
Mm.
That's what me I say. Right, soon come again.
Okay.
Soon come again.
So I'm going to need to come off because of technology, and then I will re-enter. Okay, so Brother Aston has come off and left me hanging.
No. Hold
Let
on,
me
a
play.
second.
Put
Just a
the
second.
tune. Put the
Just a second.
tune.
Yeah, I'm gonna put on the tune. I'm gonna put on the tune. Just a second. All right. So you're coming back though, yeah?
Yeah.
All right then. All right.
We now see the world through brand new eyes. Yeah. Hear that? Money in your pocket and you have a hot girl. Your friends call you hot star. You think you
All right. Here we go. We await our sister Sandra. In the meantime, good afternoon, caller. Sorry, I'm sorry about the volume of the last tune that was playing. It's all down low. Anyhow, good afternoon, caller.
Hello, sir. Can you hear me good?
I can hear you very well, and I'm
Good,
sure
good.
everybody else can.
I don't know if I catch the drift because I just pop in and I kind of catch the tail of what you and the other lady was talking about.
Yeah, Sister Sandra. Yeah,
but, Sister Sandra, and like you're talking about Garvey and the organization of Garvey. I'm gonna mention Diane Abbott. Yeah.
Diane Abbott.
I still respect her. Don't get me wrong. I still respect that lady because she's been in politics for many years.
Front line.
And you must have a strong character in order to face so many people for so many years. So my view or my opinion is not to bash her. Yeah, but what I will say is that if Diane, hold on, can I ask you a question? From your knowledge, has Diane ever call up the station?
Not that I know of. Not that I'm aware of now.
Right,
no.
Me too. I don't think she has. As far as I know, from my knowledge, I don't think she has. But what I'm saying is that if she had called up the station, or had, like Quaker was talking a few days ago, or a week ago, he mentioned like she didn't go on any of the marches. She didn't even have to march, even present herself at Brixton, or even
Parliament. At the House of Commons.
You know what I mean? Yes. So just present yourself there. Drive your car, park it up somewhere, and be there. Film like 5 minutes, show your face, you give a little 2-minute speech or whatever, and you go about your business. Yeah. But what my point is that if she had done that, the community would be much more solid behind her. I know she tried, because I was talking to somebody about a week ago, and he was telling. I said to her like, "Boy, it's good that she spoke out," but he was telling me she shouldn't have said that. What he was should have been wise. But I'm saying that how many more times can you always be wise? One
of the things, my brother, right? Just like how I relate to you when I was in that lesson on Sunday, right? Some things need to be said at that time.
Thank you.
And that's in my opinion, that is what Diane Abbott said. She has not said anything that any person from the Black community would not agree with because of those experiences. Yeah? She hasn't said anything. The fact that it hit them and it hurt them to the core, right? They didn't like it. Right? In other words, the truth hurts.
Yeah, man. Even was it Monday, I think, up to Tuesday, I tuned into LBC, and they were still talking about her.
Good.
I had to switch off because I said this is ridiculous. The the lady done say what she had to say, yeah, and she apologized, and you're still talking about it. Like where you going? What you and they didn't even have the dignity in public, like contact her and say like, did you want to defend yourself again? There's a slater in the woman and the lady. And she apologized, and there's nobody.
Which she shouldn't have done. I don't think that she should have.
Well, this is what I'm saying.
Right?
If she had,
the reason why I say the reason why I say that she shouldn't do, right, is that she's an experienced enough politician, right? It's not like she just come along and she just running her mouth like some of our young activists can do that,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
She's an experienced politician, right? Soon she could have been made into the Lords as well, right?
Well, that's why I think she apologized,
Right? So therefore, your word is your bond, irrespective of what people think or anything like that, right? Yeah. You feel said that any of them prime minister would back down from what they're saying?
Huh? But that's why I said that she's like she's like I say, she's a strong woman, very strong woman. But I think if she had been more connected to the community, yeah, she would have probably contact some of the older people in the community and say, what do you think I should do? This is how we should be operating. You know? You shouldn't be just a lone wolf in the house of tigers or lions. You should be, even if you're in that house, you should still have connections to say, right, what do you think I should do? You should have at least 10 people, 5 people who you could contact by phone and say, yo, get them together, have a little meeting, little hour meeting. And what do you think? What do you think my response should be? This is how we should be operating, and this is how she, as an elderly lady, as an older lady, should have that little organization. Doesn't take much, just to contact a few community stations, and say, yo, get some people together, organize a little committee, and what my points of views, I'm gonna put it towards you, and you give me some feedback on what I should say. You know what I mean? It doesn't take much for that, and that's what I said. She should have been more connected with the community. I'm not slandering her, but what I'm saying, I was watching a documentary on the Panthers. It's also related to the Harlem series.
Oh yes.
I might have to call you back and tell you the title of it, but it's connected to the same Harlem series, and they're talking about the Panthers. And the Panthers, the Black Panthers, what they were like, they were very organized, man.
Of course they were.
Myself, of course they were. How is it that we? Sorry.
Of course they were. Of course they were. And I pointed out the other day, not too long ago, right? Sister Sandra is back with us, by the way, and I'm sure she's going to make a comment on this.
There's so much that you've said, so carry on.
I pointed out the other day, right, that the Panthers, right, they were academias in their own right. Okay, and it wasn't a case of that. Why we're gonna go out there and we're gonna bond down this and bond down that. Every move that they made was a strategic move. Right.
Yeah. There was one lady that was talking, and the woman, the vocabulary of that woman, high standard. And one young brother, he's older than me. He's probably about in his like mid 60s, and he was talking about when he first met a group of people, and he was talking about, he just mentioned some things, and he said that when he first met these people, they told him I think it was a riot time, and they said they told him like, no, step back and and he said that was his first meeting of the Panthers, and he said he joined them immediately after that, and he was 13 years of age.
That's right.
13 years of age. You've got young brothers out on the street now doing all kind of madness at that same age, and that if that energy was channeled into something more constructive.
And the thing is that there's nothing stopping any of them, right, joining a group, right, and getting things done, because there is so much work that we need to do in our community. Even if you say, all right, then let's just sort of like have a support system for our people, right? You know what? You see an elder over there, boy. You know what? Let me go and help them with their shopping. You know what I mean? To just do the well, just to ensure that they're doing, because there are so many people out here, right, who are lonely. Them lonely. You understand? They don't have no family. They might have family, but their family now look after them.
Talk about family, because I also want to drop this in as well. Also want to say about the young lady that was killed and stabbed up in Stockwell. Young lady, they say is a stranger come up to her and stab her and kill her. I don't know if that's the factual story, but that's how it goes so far. Young lady in Stockwell. But I also want to talk about Sugar Miner's daughter, or one of his daughters. She's been like there's some mix up with I'm not trying to talk trivial stuff, but I'm talking about we as a community, as a culture, there's some slackness going on. Like the Sugar Miner, one of Sugar Miner's daughters is talking about I think her name is Passion Miner, and she's talking about how the let's just put it basic, the money that's wrapped up with Sugar Miner's estate, is getting like taken over by. I'm gonna mention her name. I don't know her, but her name is called Maxine Stowe. Maxine Stowe, as far as I know, is like she's in some madness of corruption and thievery, and them kind of people. You have to expose them, and this woman got like proper like dreads and looking like a follower of Haile Selassie. Just some fake stupid madness, man. And you're thieving people's money. This young girl, I don't know her. Sugar Miner Stowe, I don't know her. But if you're thieving their people with their money, you give it back to them. It don't belong to you. And you have people that's why when you have organizations, and people join these organizations, and people create them for alternative motives, ulterior motives. This is why people don't join, because you have got people who build them and just thief people's money and run off. You know?
That does happen. It does happen. Sister Sandra has a comment.
There was a couple of things that you've just said there, brother, in terms of people thieving the money. So my question is, are we good stewards of money? So if we're not good stewards of money, so you're talking about Sugar Minor, I don't know what he put in place from a legacy point of view that would have supported how the money is spent when he's not here to make his decisions. I don't know what's been put in place. But then, and we go back to what Brother Aston was saying in terms of Marcus Garvey, there's a stewardship that greed, we've always, within each and every of our communities, the groups that we're in, there's always going to be individuals who are in it for the greed. They're not in it for the purpose. They're not in it for the passion. They're not in it for the service. They're just in it for what they can get. So how do you then tease out and recognize and know those people? And it does take strong leadership from the top.
Well, one way how you can do it is like everything be voluntary. Your time be voluntary, and any money that is put into the kitty is used for like pamphlets, booklets, in just investing, and everybody it's voluntary. You know, it's voluntary, and then maybe at the end of the year, the people who are at the top get rewarded a little lump sum. It's got to be voluntary, because once people start, I look at some of these YouTube individuals, talented individuals, doing presenting YouTube shows, and the listen, I can curse on cussing out. Right, but the vulgarity of some of these people is like it's so vulgar, and like what you teaching the young youth them, you know, and they will do almost anything and say anything to become popular.
Yes,
because the more I can't find the word in my head, but the more controversial you become, you get popular. So the new style now is like this new Black Power movement is to be controversial, cussing and swearing, exposing people, and then more people get to watch you. I said, it's just the future of it. When you look at some of these old time lectures from like Amos Wilson, highly intelligent man, never cuss a word, not one word. Talks for about 2-3 hours long and not one cuss word.
But the thing is, my brother, you know that, right? If you have a good foundation of information, right, you got no time for destructive expression.
Right?
That
is a distraction.
Yeah. So that is why I encourage everybody to do their due diligence, to do their teachings, to build themselves up in that way, so that they can power talk themselves, they can power represent themselves. Yeah, because too many times we have been put into these arenas and we are just kibbering. We're not even saying anything, and yet we have the full understanding of what needs to be said and what needs to be done. Right? We need to be doing that.
Just to cut you again, because I was looking at the structure of the pamphlets here, and I was saying like, well, what's blocking this next generation? Because even some of these like lyricists, these rappers, when you analyze, some of them are highly intelligent brothers and sisters. Highly intelligent. You mean to me you can say lyrics here for like 3 minutes and 15 times 3. And at a concert you can remember all those lyrics. And some of this is so diverse and intellectual and you know what I mean, and complicated. The lyrics alone, that shows you have some type of. You know, so I'm saying if that mental power was put into construct to building something. I saw the fight by Mayweather's young protege, and he had nursed him to such he's a short brother, about 5'3".
Yeah.
The way he was fighting, I said, if you can train a young man to be a soldier, even a soldier in the army, then how is it that our younger men are becoming like this? That means that we are being coerced into becoming like savages.
Exactly.
They are
Exactly.
coercing us. So, because I'm saying, if you can teach a man to be a soldier, a tough man, fearless, yeah, then what is it? Then who is teaching our youth here to become like this right now? Something's been done, and we're not able to put our finger on it. Or if we are able
So
to put our finger on it, no one's paying attention to it.
I would say, yes, we are. It's so no one's paying attention, and we're taking the television and the media lightly. And there's a lot that it's doing and saying to our young people that are discouraging them and allowing them to think on a different path and to think that the way that they're doing it, because being on the outside and looking in, it appears to be, and like you say, there's a lot who, from a lyricist point of view, from being able to remember, being able to speak in that way, it is an art form, and it's not everybody can do it. But how do they then? They don't get. It's almost like you watch the news. You don't watch the news to hear good news. You watch the news to hear the glory, the details, and that's they're almost. They recognize that in order for, or some of them recognize, in order for them to get the platform and the notoriety, the badder, the gory, the profanities. But the question I would say is, who's behind them that allows that? And that's going to be individuals in power who will allow that type of information and that media and that to be on the airwaves rather than the positive, because you've got positive out there,
Definitely.
but you're not going to hear it.
What I'm saying, in the time of when the Panthers first came out, yeah, you had people like, in that same documentary I was watching, you had people like the Last Poets, and you had James Brown come up with you see these young like teenagers like nodding their heads. And we see them like actually acknowledging, say, yes, I am black and I'm proud. And it's like they've never been empowered like that before. You know, and you can see the inspiration that James was giving to them. Just into their head. You can say, yeah, it's true. I'm not some kind of. Let's say, don't be shy of the word. I'm not a nigger. You know, you can see on their face. Even when you look at some of Malcolm X's speeches when he's speaking in the crowd, and the camera would go around onto the crowd of people. You see their faces just captivated. It's true, you know. So again, I have to say, like, something has to be done in order for this young, powerful generation to.
You've known me for quite a while now on here, right? And I try to be as upfront and open as I can be, right? Breaking all the laws of reporting as I do, right? Wearing my heart on my sleeve. So therefore, anytime you see me, right, say that I'm always looking for the development and the improvement of all those around me. Yeah, sharing information and also learning as well. And I feel that it is down to us to be self-motivated to the extent of that we learn what needs to be done for ourselves and implement these things for ourselves in preference to allowing other organizations to come and hijack all of our cultural values and water them down and mix and blend them to the extent of that we have no existence in there. And then when it comes down to it, because in a few years they will have this thing there, right? And they will have the monies behind them that has been set aside for us initially, and we won't even be able to even come and attend the events, right?
When you're saying that, that rings a bell in my head. Like, I want to mention two places here. One place in Brent, and the other place was in Kennington. These are two places that the Brent one I never went to. Yeah, but the one in Kennington it was like a large building. Yeah, I went there once, and that's when they had a Russ Babu occasion, Russ Babu meeting. He had like he's a herbalist.
Yeah, the herbalist.
And,
yes.
and I went there for the first time, and I think I can't remember how I got downstairs in the lift or somewhere, and I went downstairs, and there was a studio there, and I said, "Right, they got a studio." I never heard of that place ever in my life. I never knew that there was a studio in Kennington in that building. And then I went to the Rust Bubble meeting, the event, and then after about a year going there, they announced that the building's been taken back by Lambeth. And I'm saying to myself, so hold on there. When it was open here, you was getting government help. This is just a fact, man. Let us not play with words. When you was getting that government help here, why didn't you announce to the community, yo, we have a place here, come and support it. We're gonna try and buy it. Why did you contact, now that it's getting taken back from the government by the borough, you're trying to the community and say, yo, we need help. This same thing with that Brent building. Now it's been taken back here. Now you're saying, oh, we need to build a case, but when it was open, you should have been having classes, IT classes, people teaching them mechanics, open a little room, put a car in there, teaching them mechanics, teaching them mathematics. You know what I mean? You and announcing it on all community stations, saying come down, pay a little fee, bringing children there, having events. This is what you should have been doing. Just because they'll give you like 50,000, 100,000 per year. Yeah, don't think that's gonna be there every year. You should be taking some of that, banking some of that, and say, look, and announce to the community, look, we're gonna try and buy this property outright. And even if we bought it and they want to claim it back, they'd have to pay probably double the fee to claim it, and then they could probably go and buy another building. But they once they give us some money, yeah, and you just take that money and figure, say, yo, you're gonna have that building forever. It's not gonna happen. Look, go down Whitechapel. Anybody listening now, go down to Whitechapel. I see how these people are so. I felt so sad. I went down there last week. I felt so bad. I said, look how these people are so organized. There's a whole long lane of Indian people organized, left and right, shops one side, markets the other side. Organized, man. Fruits, drinks, watches, you name it. And we can't. Obviously, we're being held back here. So that just proves that if we get an opportunity, we can't be squandering it. We can't. Even though that they set up that prime minister as like a fall guy, something's gonna happen. They're gonna make him be the fall guy, but he's still him and the mayor, the other Indian mayor. They're setting their people up and they're organizing little organizations, little shops, little this, little that, and they're spreading it around the whole of the country. And as we as a people. Our people, like I said, when you get into a high position as a black person, you need to look back at your people. Yeah, you need to look at them and say, "Listen, man, are you with me?" And
there's a couple of things that you've said there. Sorry to interrupt you. And you said it at the beginning when you said in terms of Diane Abbott having people around her that she could have communicated with to have that conversation. But then also what you've just said there now in terms of us as a group. Doing for ourselves and being prepared to do for ourselves. But I would go back to the thought process and if in terms of who am I? What am I doing? Because one of the things in terms of last week I spoke with Charmaine Simpson, Black History Studies. And she was saying that one of the reasons why they started Black History Studies was because they weren't prepared for the cowballing. Oh, why don't we do this? What should we do? Yada yada yada. The other reason that they started Black History Studies was they recognized they don't want the support in that way from the government or from a good cause, charity cause, whatever. Because when you get that money, you have to dance a certain tune. So as you were saying that those places were being closed down and then they're seeking the support from the community, we don't know what they've put in from a business plan and a proposal and then what was given back to them in terms of, okay, so if we give you this 100,000 for year 1 and 200 in year 2, this is the type of people you need to support in relation to that. So they may have had their hands tied behind their back. But the fact that they put in the application means they should have been prepared for that, which is what some others, as in Black History Studies, and there are other community groups, Robin Walker and others out there within the community who are doing work based on money that they can generate by way of how they are stewarding their time, their talents, and their treasures. So it's a fine line. If you're taking money from anybody, it's always going to be a fine line in terms of who you can reach out to, because there's going to be fine print, small print, and large print. So by the time you, like you say, you get to the end of your rope from a monetary point of view, and there is no further funding because of economic crash, yada, 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 you need to be in a position whereby you can stand on your own 2 feet. But the minute that you start taking the handout, unless you are using the money or you have the control of how that money is spent, you're unfortunately a proverbial puppet on a string, just waiting time.
And it comes back to Diane Abbott as well. If we as a community have had our own representative in there, or we could support her financially, she really could say what she wanted to say and not apologize.
Well,
they're paying her wages.
Let me put it this way. Hold on. Let's. And I don't want to sound like I'm discrediting her in any way, in that way, there, right? But an experienced politician, as she has been for many a year, right? They have regular interaction with the public, right? By having open forums where the public are allowed to come and participate in fact finding and feeling of what's happening for the community, and they invite them to the House of Commons as well. So it's not the fact that it wasn't readily available to her, right? The thing is that obviously the conversation that we have as Black people is completely different to the political system of which she is representing. Yeah, it's like how we would talk here on the Galaxy. None of them will be talking in a such way. None of them will be communicating in the same manner, right? The depth of conversations that we have and their personal experiences that we've had, none of them would actually acknowledge in some cases that it is a race-driven actions that has been taken towards us. Right? None of them would admit that, mainly because it would be in conflict with many of their members. Yeah,
absolutely correct.
Right, and that is why they are trying to lambaste that woman for saying what she's saying, because we know that if the shoe was on the other foot, and they spoke of somebody who was a follower of the Jewish faith, right? Because the Jews is not a nation or anything like that, as like they would like to portray it as, right? It's a choice. It's a choice of faith. That if anybody was to say anything like that, that it would be taken and reciprocated in a different way. Because what did they do? What did they do with the leader of the Labour Party? He never said nothing that was untoward.
No,
he told the truth. He spoke the truth.
That's power, man. They got power.
Exactly.
And we as a people who are separate, individual, picked off, dissected. Yeah, the Englishman know.
Exactly.
Man.
They can say anything they want. They can say anything they want about us. And what's going to be the repercussions of that? Apart from us standing outside and shouting down an empty building.
Yeah. They know, like I said, that they know because we are individual. Like I said, that you had that Brent building. Yeah, you should have used it. You should have used it, man, and contact people and say, "Yo, you got any ideas? Come on board." I never hear none of them call up the station.
I don't. If you're getting money, if you're being funded, it's a small print, and there would have been strings attached in terms of how they could use it and when they could use it. Never be disillusioned in relation to, if you're asking for someone for money, you're asking in terms of, as simple as it is, in terms of a mortgage a number of us may have, then there's automatically an assumption in terms of how you can use your dwelling, how you can use your house. Hey, you borrowed the money from somebody else. You can't just put something up out there. You can't just put something in the backyard. There's certain things that you can and you can't do.
Right.
And it's going to be exactly the same with that situation, as bad as it is. And the sad thing is that we often ask for help after we find ourselves in this situation, because we're glad to take the money, but at what cost?
Well, then, because the reason I'm talking here, I'm saying that we as a people should be making plans. We should be making plans.
Absolutely.
There's wealthy African people, there's wealthy Black African people, there's wealthy Black American people. Yeah. And why are they not being contacted? Yeah.
Well, hold on.
Are you prepared to put put something in the bucket big enough to buy a building? Yeah, and then from that building, you can get something back within 5-10 years. You know, Umar Johnson to come from America to come to here to ask Black people for money. Yeah, like what's going on with all these big rappers with big fat chains around their neck? I really, and people are gonna say, "Oh, it's other white man, the white." Come, listen, you know how that get me angry. You know how that get me angry. It's like some ignorant people put into our head. It's just the white. No, it's not. Some of we, if I have to tell you what my family do, some of the wickedest people. And that's what I mentioned to you about Sugar Miner's daughter. She got on, she said she went on stage. And as she went on the stage, some woman come out of nowhere, some junker woman come and snatch the trophy from her. Like, what do you think? You're not even in the family. It's meant to be commemorations. I think that's the right word towards Sugar Miner. Yeah, and you come from nowhere grabbing the trophy, the monument from the daughter. Come on, man, this is so disrespectful. And you can see that the daughter felt embarrassed, but she had the dignity to say, you know what, take it. Rather than two of them fight over it on stage in front of thousands of people. She said, okay, take it. And she gave it to her, make her grab it, make her take it away. You know? And oh man, that's why I say if we was more organized, we're not organized. If we was more organized, these things would be happening. And then any local Black politician that's picked them up to say, yeah, you can't say that. Any little you can't find them. Yeah, they couldn't pick them off. It's even from America, from Kanye West, so you name it. You're just picking them off, picking one by one. When you do play their game like Bill Cosby played their game, stuck by the rules. But when he said, right, I'm going to buy this Black TV, this TV station or radio station, I'm going to buy this station. And I mean, this is madness now. My people got to step up. They come after you. But if you're more indulgent, I don't know. If you're more indulgent in your people, I don't think this could happen so easily. They even in that same Black Panthers documentary, they said they accused 21 of them of like setting up bombs and doing certain things. 21 of them, they were innocent, but they accused 21 innocent people of trying to do certain things. And some of these were young children. So it just proves anything you try and do, I have to blame them again. Anything we try to do, they will block. So then there must be more organizations, and not certain people be at the top. There shouldn't be no leaders, just organizations and people. Hold
on. You're talking as a utopian organization and movement, right?
Which we don't have.
Which we do not have at this time, right? Admittedly, and I say it again, we do have to be moving towards the recognition of who we are as individuals, right? Now, to put, I'm gonna make a statement in an extreme manner right now. Basically, we should be able to make a global force, and the commitment of putting, like, for instance, our firstborn into a service that is for the community, right? As a global community. And out of that, to put that person or that child into the society and building a new society, a new global society, right? That is going to be representative of itself and us in the future. Yeah. I know it's one of those utopia type thinkings and whatever, But if we don't separate ourselves from our enslavers completely and totally, we will forever be enslaved by these people.
But you know how they capture them? The same thing from nursery.
Yeah.
Because what you said there is on point. But they capture their heads from nursery. I hear this. They're even going to be telling the children tomorrow. Yeah, it's today's Friday. That's what I think they're going to be telling the children in schools that they must be committed to the new king.
Yeah.
So they're telling the children in schools that you must, and also they come out with this some madman said that tried to let off some bomb outside Buckingham Palace. Yeah. Why would you go there on Wednesday and Thursday to let off a bomb? Yeah, and when there's nobody there. There's just I went past there a few days ago, and all you got is like corrugated iron. There's nobody there. So if you're really gonna blow up anything, you go there on Monday. Why are you going on Wednesday and Thursday with I think he tried to let off a bomb or something, and they arrested him. That just sounds silly. And they also come out with a new law about protesting. Protesters they can be if you seem outrageous, the police can approach you and search you. So if you're innocent, you just got like a placard in your hand. Police can look at you and say, "Oh, that person looks suspicious." Approach you and probably even arrest you, but definitely search you. That's the new law come out now.
Yeah, of course. So SUS is back in full effect.
Yeah, we laugh, but yeah.
You know,
did it go away?
Both for too long. But I just
no.
Thank you. Thank you. But yeah.
Continue the discussion between the two of you. Episodes,
thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
If anybody would like to join in, the line is open. 0203 289 6504. Sister Sandra.
So there was a lot that was said, and I'd alluded to earlier on doing the course. And one of the things that, in terms of the Think and Grow Rich course, that I am looking at now and encouraged to think about was, in the past, I've always thought to myself, and you spoke about exercise, etc., etc. So one of my mentors has always said, power in the physical world is how much can you lift up, but power in the spiritual world is what can you let go. And that's James McNeil. So today I'm thinking about, what can we let go? Can we control our mind? Can we and why would we want to? Because if we're looking to come together, we need to come together as whole people rather than as broken people. Because it's when we come together as broken people, we don't enrich, we don't make better. What we end up doing is we end up being the proverbial crab in a barrel. So when I heard a phrase and it made me smile, and the phrase that made me smile was a mental diet. Because we think about physical diet, and we often hear about the various diets and what you should eat. And we've even spoken about from a eating point of view, from a drinking point of view. And you were speaking earlier on in terms of breath and breath work, and that helps from a mental diet. But that was something that was Emmett Fox. So he was a thinker, a new thought leader, spiritual thinker, and he wrote a book in relation to the concept of the mental diet. And he spoke about it in terms of over 7 days. And it works in, like I said, in exactly the same way as a physical diet. We need to nourish our minds.
Yes.
In exactly the same way as we nourish our bodies. So the question is, why bother? So some of the things that the brother was just saying in terms of us coming together, we can't come together if our minds are broken.
Critical thinker, we got him down as.
Okay, so the way critical thinker was putting it together, and the thoughts and what he's watching, and he's thinking that this doesn't make sense, whether it be the Sugar Minot's family and that, or even the buildings. He's thinking to himself that those things that don't make sense. But we should treat our minds like a garden. Be mindful of what we allow to grow there. he was speaking about the young people, and we were speaking in general in terms of the young people and how, from a lyricist point of view, from a able to express themselves point of view, how we can see that some of them are geniuses, but what are they allowing to grow there, and who's tending that garden? So Emmett Fox would encourage us to cultivate positive thoughts and emotions. And one of the analogies that I've been experiencing recently was that thought process. How can I best bring love into this moment? Or if love is the answer, what is the question? So that means you're approaching things in a completely different way. Thinking about what you're grateful for. What are you grateful for? We should be able to come up with, individually, collectively, we should be able to come up with a long list. So we can weed out those negative thoughts and emotions.
Regularly visit those lists that we put up. I've got a caller here, brother Icon. Greetings.
Greetings, my brother.
How you, King man? How you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. I know you're on Sister Sandra. I haven't got a lot of time. Right, Sister Empress Sandra. Peace and love to you.
Greetings.
Yeah, I've been listening intently to find out, because I'm really keen to find both of you perspective on what we should be doing. Sister Sandra was talking about mental diet, versus physical diet, and she's basically saying all of us need to be healed before we can move to the next step, which we need to do, because if we come into the state that we are in, everything's going to crash. But, the more I look into our situation and study it from, different perspectives, from all of our different brothers across the world, we can see that there's a lot of division in the way that we think or understand of what the whole life is.
Exactly.
So for us to get to that mindset of healing ourselves, I'm wondering if, Sister Sandra alluded to love. Can healing our minds, all of our minds, is that something that's practical in a way? Is that even possible? And what time space would it take us to get to that level? And, regarding looking, for example, other nations, the way they have done it, because I'm sure these nations that have managed to risen to power, they just put they more put a structure in place, whether you like it or not, you have to fall in place, because that's the plan that they need to take them from point A to point B. And it doesn't matter who's going to die, who's going to suffer, what the cost is going to be. That's the man that they lay down. We can look at China and most countries. They didn't really take so much of the spiritual essence of getting there, or if somebody should need to heal their mind. It's just that this is what we need to do for our survival, and this is what we're going to have to do, and that's it. It doesn't matter who's going to die, who's going to suffer. This is what we're going to do. And I think at some point we're going to need to have that approach, because if we're waiting for people to really get their mind back together, I think we're going to probably read another generation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And by that time, these people are going to be so powerful that it's going to be unstoppable, even in that level. So I just want to add that into the conversation. But give thanks.
Okay, then. Okay. Sister Sandra, what would you say on that one there?
And you mentioned in terms of some of those cultures, so some of those cultures that you spoke about, they've got their connections from a spirituality point of view is a lot stronger than we know that we were robbed. We know that we've been robbed. And there was logic in terms of why they robbed us of our culture and our spiritual culture, which would enable us to do the work. So if you put in a structure and individuals aren't mindful, what we will end up doing is what we've always done: fight amongst each other. We will be looking to say, I am from a stewardship, it will be mismanaged because we are looking at doing it as an individual rather than doing it as a collective. Or we stand on the outside and we do that. Are they for real? Can we trust them? What are they doing? How are they doing it? So again, if I think about some of the individuals in the community who are doing the work, from a putting in the effort in order to do the work, they're doing it out of service, out of love. sharing the knowledge and building from there. Robin Walker, sharing the knowledge, building from there. So I personally think if we do it the other way around and put up the building and then we all congregate to the building, when we're going to be congregating on different levels, on different energy in terms of what do you want out of it? What do I want out of it? But if we're all approaching from that element of love, then at least we have a common cause that we are all looking to deal with any conflict that comes in, any negative energy that comes in, and we won't actually attract the negative energy because we'll be vibrating higher. So some of the, whether it be media, television, news, etc., we're not going to get drawn into because we see it for what it is, that wolf in sheep's clothing. Because of where we're starting, they're not going to want to mess with you. And if we think about Marcus Garvey and we're thinking about some of the greats in the past, it wasn't a stranger who came in and made the difference. It was someone who allegedly was closer to them, that was able to get close enough to them in order to take them out.
Yeah. What do you say, Brother Icon?
Interesting point my sister is saying. Okay, I definitely could understand where my sister wants to bring this, and you know what she's saying is correct, because that should be the right motive. I'm more worrying about where our people is now and the practicality of actually putting that in play. What would that look like, and you know what I mean, how would that be done? Because as you know, we are so divided in terms of our idea and what we want to do. You know what I mean? So naturally coming with love is a point, but you know what I mean, people probably saying, what type of love? Because I might love something, but you don't love it. You know, so it's gonna have that. You know, it's gonna have that.
Yeah,
but
right. As I did share earlier on, because you know, them type of question and them type of thoughts are gone through my mind, but you know, I wait for the appropriate time to come out with my statements then, because I can be deemed to seem to be radical in many ways of my thinking and what I would like to see, right? And as I stated, that the firstborn of your family, right, should be taken into a society to build a society, right, of education and influence to make a global society. Yeah. And that would be our representation, and our I won't say that it would be for us directly, but it would be for the next generation to say we are building a utopian society that will represent the black people of the of the world, right around the world. Yeah. So that they will be the political leaders, they will be the influential individuals that are necessary for development of a society for all of us, and speak as one voice and move as one. Right? I know it sounds like a utopian type perspective, but at the moment that's the best I can do right now, without getting the authorities licked down the door.
Yeah, I hear that.
So,
you know,
my
I took a trip up to Bath, you know, Selassie was
Yeah.
and they were having some difficulty maintaining that building. And you know, when Umar Johnson was saying he's looking to a school, I said to myself, just imagine if Umar Johnson got a place like this and he could board in some of our younger generation, let them actually live there and actually teach them exactly what you're saying. I said to myself, you know how this will change the next generation. But the question might be popping up. I know sometimes you want to come in, like, how much mothers are going to want to, you know what I mean, send away their firstborn to go away, you know what I mean, to boarding school where they're not going to see him. So that's going to be some agreement again with the moms and the dads and the family. So,
Because I'm going to tell you now, there's many a person who has committed their children into a subservient lifestyle to follow some religious doctrines, right? And then when they come of adult age, yeah, they may return to the home, but they have committed them into that life. You understand? And that's what it takes. It takes for you to say, you know what, this is my contribution into my development. The other nations that we talk of, that is exactly what they do. That's exactly what they do. Yeah. Right? It's not a case of why you're a doctor and you got to represent the family. You're a doctor to make a statement in society for that family. Yeah. This is why they pick and choose who and what you're gonna be with and who you're going to be with. Right? You understand? So it's not a case. It's not a case of why we just go and do what we gotta do and I can do what I want. No. It's a full commitment.
It's strategic. It's a strategic way of building their communities and their relationships.
Yeah. And we don't take it serious like that. We don't take it serious like that, you see?
But we've got the blueprint. So
yeah. Listen, we know got too many of them, too many blueprint out there. Right? So we have to do.
So, Sister Sandra, I want to ask you both of you this question. Both of you can answer.
Right.
What do you think?
We're on top of the hour, so be mindful.
No, not at the particular moment.
Right. Just quickly, what do you think about us engaging into any political changes? Do you think this is a playing field that we should approach in any form of way to ensure any changes for ourselves, or even the legal side of it? What's your view on those two avenues for people?
So for me, I don't rule anything out. I just know that that's not my purpose. But there may be others within the community that are. That's because if we're all here for a purpose, my purpose and Brother Aston's purpose and your purpose may be different purpose, but if you bring us together as a whole, we're a formidable force. So I wouldn't necessarily say I'm going to go into either one of those areas. But if I see someone who's standing in that space and they're coming at it from a different vibration from what I can currently see, I'll pay attention. And that's why I say in terms of love doesn't necessarily mean woo-woo. Love means how are you going to be representing yourself on that platform for those people? Where are you coming from? What's in your heart? Rather than are you here just to continue the dance to someone else's tune? So that's what I mean when I say love. I'm talking about love as in your soul.
Yeah.
What is your soul? What is your heart? What are you aiming to provide as a legacy to the next generation or to the current generation? Let's not think about the next generation. Let's think about where we're standing right now.
Yeah.
So I know it's not my bag and I know it's not my purpose, but I know that there are others within the community. It is your purpose. So if I think about historically, individuals such as Walter Rodney, Steve Biko, there'll be others within the UK who are, and you think to yourself, you know what, had they had the opportunity, that was their purpose, to be in those arenas whereby they can make a change. And we've got the young people now, and that's the thing that saddens my heart when I see the young people and they have their energies directed in a space that is not benefiting them and all those around them. And that could be the way they display themselves from a music point of view, the way that they display themselves just walking up and down the street, and you think to yourself, the way that they get themselves together as a gang or as a community, and they can do it and they can work together. And I think to myself, if you did actually channel that energy on a different spectrum, again, you're geniuses. But we'll never know. You never shine. And those around you are not shining.
Yeah.
So that's why I use the word from a mental diet and appreciating that, and then thinking about what do you need to do as an individual in order to maintain and improve your mental diet, because hurt people hurt.
Yeah.
Whatever they put up, they're gonna hurt themselves and those around them by default. So that's why we need to be strong, and we know we are strong. We have been strong in the past, and we currently have that mental strength. Because if we didn't have that mental strength, none of us, to be fair, would be sitting where we're sitting. Because we know where we've been, but that mental strength also put up elements that they don't even know how that structure in terms of the pyramid has got there. So that's what I mean in terms of providing that additional information. But you've literally, and I know that we're eating into Sister Noah's time, and I'm not sure if she's in the studio as yet. So we'll keep talking. But yeah, those are things that's what I mean by love. And that's what I mean in terms of checking myself from a mental diet point of view. How do I show up? If I show up broken, I'm actually going to break those around me, or I'm going to gravitate to the broken. And that's not where we want to be. That's not what you're talking about. That's not what Brother Aston is talking about. That's not the Galaxy family, wider Galaxy family is talking about.
Seen. Right. You see all the button just hand over to Brother Icon.
It's good to have the feminine energy. That's what I'm saying. You get that balance in it. We kind of talk very radical, the man them we're rough, but you see the woman them know to kind of fine tune and smooth things, and just give it that extra glowing look. So yes, I definitely hear what my sister is saying. But Brother Austin, do you not think that we need a central person in it? Because when I say that now, so look at say the Jews, they got the Jewish council. If you got the Muslims, they got the Muslim council. You talk to the Hindus, they got the Hindu council. And as soon as any attack is done on anybody in their community, then you got the head of those council coming out straight away and start condemning that.
Exactly.
Me from the UK, I don't see that at all.
Right. Representation. Unfortunately, that the religious elements, right, have taken over. We have lost faith in our religious elements, and then again, we should never have any faith within any of these Europeanized religious organizations and doctrinations anyway. But our community, which is what our strength is in, when it should be focused on, is what we should be building. We need to develop our community and representation in every aspect and every social standing within the lives that we are living globally, right? As I stated, if there's a vacancy or there's a place that people are putting up for representation, we supposed to be in on that too. Yeah, we're supposed to be in on it too. Right? Simple. And it's not a case of like any and anybody. Foundation work needs to be done. Yeah. That's it. Right. Our next presenter is in the house. So I'm going to say thank you for joining us on the Blacknificent show here on the Galaxy Affirmation.net. Right. And we will look forward to being with you in the near future.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, definitely.
All right then. Let me run you out now. Run you out the house. Come out to my house. Come. All right, take care now.
Him don't have no money, him still kinda young. I know veranda fighter, but I just send him come. This type of surrender wasn't on the agenda, but I find that this brother is a reflection of us found. Finally, For a heart
Adios.
in brain,
Adios, viewers.
him learn from the example of the king. Love has found thy